just so you know how it works. Okay, let's look at Facebook. Richard had a question about Facebook, and it's IPOing pretty soon. And what's our recommendation? Should we buy into it or should we not? Well, here are my thoughts on Facebook. I don't know if you guys saw that movie, The Social Network. And the thing about Facebook is it's growing and growing, right? There's 900 million users on the thing, and tremendous potential opportunity to, if they could monetize that, the potential is unlimited, right? If they could monetize it. But if you watch in the movie, Zuckerberg, he had this partner, and he kept telling, let's monetize this thing. You know, we have 10,000 people on it. Now we have 100,000. We have 1 million on it. We have 10 million. You know, the number kept getting, let's monetize. I'm talking to bankers. And Zuckerberg was like, no, don't worry about it. And they're like, okay, the opportunity's here right now. Monetize this thing. And he's like, don't worry about it. And it seems like he was not interested in monetizing, turning this thing into a profitable. He's just giving it out for free, right? The users don't pay for it, right? Some advertisers are starting to pay a little bit. They're getting some revenue, but it's potential. It's what they're selling in this IPO, is the potential that if this guy, this genius, could figure out how to monetize this company, I mean, it's going to be a world beater, right? They just came out with this thing that says, we've noticed that a lot of our users are going on to Facebook off their smartphone and off their tablet, so we can't really advertise to them, and so that might be a little bit of a setback. But there's this huge potential, and the question is, how are they going to monetize that? How are they going to generate revenue off of these 900 million users? It's kind of like a road, really, like the road from here to Vegas. I mean, millions of people use it, right? But they don't make any money off of it, right? It's always jammed. There's always traffic, but there's really no money off of it, unless you maybe put a sign, right? Then you can maybe generate a little revenue off of the sign. And like there's the one sign that always gets me is the Mad Greek signs. I don't know if you ever driven to Vegas or back. I stopped. I pulled over by watching those things. But what does the guy pay to the 15 freeway for that? Nothing. He pays for the ads, right? But if they made him pay, he probably would, right? But he really doesn't. So that's what it is. It's just like a freeway of 900 million people on it.
Yeah,
None of them are charging to use it.
Information? Are they, do you like this? Do you like that? All that stuff.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit.
That's the whole potential.
That's the potential, yeah.
Yeah, because I noticed like one of the software programs, you can win a free version of software if you like them on Facebook. And I don't know if
Of what
your
kind of
company,
software?
if you have, well, it's from lynda.com. She has online training. So she's selling subscriptions to training.
Well, so she can make money off it, but right, is Facebook getting any of that money?
Yeah, see, no, I don't.
No, they're not, right? She's finding a way to, put herself on Facebook, and she put a stand on the side of the freeway, basically, right, and drawing people in. But they don't charge her for that, right? So the question is, how are you going to monetize this? And what investors are going to, and the Zuckerberg's not really worried about monetizing it. Investors are saying, here, Mr. Zuckerberg, here's $80 billion. Figure out how to monetize this thing. And he's going to take that check and he's going to say, thank you, I just did. The guy is a genius. That was his plan, I believe, was his plan all along, to monetize Facebook, is to take it public and sell it. Right? That'd be like if you got a job and you said, okay, I'll pay you $100,000 a year to work for me for 40 years. Or I'll just go get ahead and give you the $4 million today. And you don't have to work for me. Which one would you rather have? Well, let me think about it. I'll just take the $4 million today. Right? What a beautiful plan to monetize Facebook. Because if he just kept owning the company and said, okay, well, we're going to sell revenue and we're going to make earnings, he's never going to get $80 billion. He just did monetize it the day he's. That's what I believe. So So the question is, now the investors own this thing, right? They bought this thing for $80 billion.
What is it?
Yeah. Who's the onus is on whom to monetize that thing now? The new owners, the investors. And, when's it going to catch up to them?
Well,
I don't think it ever will.
Kramer was at a thing last night about that this could be the next Groupon, where it came out and everybody was talking about it, they threw a bunch of money at it, now the thing's going.
Yeah. Well, he just did monetize it. I think that was his plan all along, is to sell the thing. Because he's never going to make $80 billion owning it. He'll make $80 billion selling it. It's like I had when I just came out of college, I worked for this company that did syndicated land investments. And they bought this piece of property and they syndicated it, and then they sold it to investors in like $50,000 increments. Well, I looked into it, and on my own, I probably shouldn't have. Well, but I was, because I'm telling people to put their money into it, right? So it turns out that the guy bought the piece of property for like $100,000, and the syndication was like $2 million. And I'm like, he just took all the future growth potential out of that thing, out of it when he sold it, right? That was 20 years ago. That investment still hasn't turned around. And that's what Mark Zuckerberg figured out how to do to monetize Facebook, is by selling it to investors. That's my take. I don't think the investors are going to be able to turn around. Who's the next person behind them that's going to buy it for $160 billion? The revenues are not going to catch up to where we could look at it and say, okay, here's the earnings times the multiple. Now it's worth 1.6 billion, right? No, not 160 billion. These numbers are, decades from materializing to where it makes sense to buy it for 160.
Boy, but they're
He
sure
sold the
hyping it
potential,
up,
huh?
aren't they? They're sure hyping that thing up.
Yeah, it's like in Christmas time where you could buy a star with your name on it to say that you have it. Hey, I own part of Facebook.
But what
But-
about the fact if you can get in on IPO offering and only buy it at that price range of whatever that is, 20 to 35?
You might get a pop, a short-term pop.
Sell.
Yeah, you might.
I don't have any experience with IPOs. How does that work? If you get in on the IPO and then the next day it goes public, let's say it jumps to, I don't know, 50, 60.
You gotta be on the inside though, on the
No, I'm
IPO
just-
where you
I'm
get.
just
Well, this one's so big that
Through
the
each
brokerage
trade,
firms
I
are
mean,
allowing you to buy
have
it.
to qualify, you have to answer a bunch of questions, blah, blah, blah. But if so, you can get a couple hundred shares or more, 50 is minimum. And then you got in on the whatever 20 to 35 price and you watch it, hope it opens.
Yeah, but don't you have to like tell them you're not gonna sell it within a certain period of time or something?
I haven't read that.
Yeah, you're supposed to, but
Hold it for so long?
there's
Yeah, you're supposed to
there's
hold it for a certain amount of time.
there's
Of course,
not a
they're
lot to.
doing that, but they're telling you, they want you to hold on to it.
To keep the price up.
Basically, if let's say you buy an IPO and you sell it before the 30 days, they'll kind of put you on a list that says, well, next time an IPO comes out, we're not going to put you on that list. So, right, I made my pop, I don't care. Yeah, you might get a short-term pop, but there's no value to sustain that. And I think Zuckerberg's a genius that he figured out how to monetize it without selling anything to the users or the advertisers. Okay. So that's my thought on Facebook. Guy's a genius.
So I guess that's not going in a portfolio.
No.